champions of England.
We've conquered all of Europe. We're never gonna stop. From Palestine to Turkey, we've won the fucking lot. But Paisley and the Shankly, the fields of Anfield gold. We are unsupported, and we come from Liverpool.
Too bloody easy. That's all we have to say about this Champions League campaign of ours thus far for the 21-22 season. I'm joined by Peter the Coach Kafinas with a bit of a different angle. We can see top down tonight. How are you, sir?
I'm excellent. I'm just trying to figure out. I've dropped something. I'm trying to find it. But other than that, I'm all good, man. I'm all good. I'm ready to rumble.
Yeah, please do not try and find devices yourself, as they may have shifted during takeoff or landing. So please ask for a staff member to assist you there. And also joined by Jimmy Nicholson, aka the birthday boy, just turned 30 the other day. Happy birthday once again, Jimmy. How are you feeling? Liverpool won for you.
Yes, it's a very blessed birthday present for myself. Great thing, great game to wake up and watch, and obviously finished the group on 18 points. So looking forward to getting stuck into it.
And straight off the bat, shout out to Lucky. We are doing the double.
Love it.
What do you reckon? We're doing the double, Pete?
I reckon we need to get Lucky on the show. That's what I reckon.
Lucky. Maybe he might bring us some luck. Lucky on the show. But look, straight off the bat, let's get right into it. No mucking around. They dubbed this the group of death. Liverpool FC, former 6-time winners. AC Milan, they've also won it, 5 or 6 times. Atletico Madrid, they've won it. And Porto all have won it. And they called us the group of death. And many have made the joke, it was the group of death, but not in general. It was more so the group of death for our opponents, because we absolutely, I wouldn't say obliterated. There were some challenging matches that we did play, but look, 6 wins, no losses, no draws, 18 points. We are the first English team to qualify for the knockout stages of a Champions League campaign by winning all of our matches. Jimmy, what does that say about this Liverpool team this season so far, in the Champions League at least?
I think it shows the intent that we've got, and I think it shows as well the quality of squad that we have as well. I mean, obviously Milan finishing bottom of the group of death doesn't mean that they're by any means a bad side. I mean, they're top of Serie A at the moment, and they do have some quality players. But to be able to go to the San Siro, play for the most part a second string side, still play some decent football, and still be able to walk away with 6 wins out of 6, and quite comfortably so as well. I feel that it should be said. I think that shows the direction that we're going. It shows that what we've been talking about for quite a while now, in terms of needing the squad depth, needing the rotation, needing to see these next set of players come through and show what they can do and what they can contribute to this side. It's a more than just a win. It's actually a really important result overall.
Pete, what were your thoughts on the result this morning? Like Jimmy said, a changed squad, not too many bit part players, but it was nice to see some youngsters getting a run at the end of the match. They got subbed on. We had Waltman and Connor Bradley coming on in injury time for Taki and for Nico Williams. But what did you make of that that squad this morning? Because there were a few changes, 8 changes in total. Obviously, Origi starting in place of Jota, but because Origi came on as a sub, technically you consider that a change from the starting 11 against Wolves. What did you make of that performance against the team that is coming first in the Serie A? Let that be said.
Yeah, I loved every minute of it, because I hate this whole Serie A thing that, they've still got this thing in the head that Serie A is still as competitive as it was in the 90s. And we've just dusted the first place in Serie A with literally our B side. And it's something that, if I was a Serie A fan, I'd be actually embarrassed, because if you sit there and talk about how good it is and it's still tactically a masterclass league, and you've just been embarrassed, like absolutely touched up. And it's like, again, yeah, okay, the scoreline reflects it being close. The group stage itself for us was an exact look. We won 6 from 6, but going back through all the games, the first AC Milan game was close. Both Atletico Madrid games were difficult. One being too close, or a lot closer than what it should have been. Porto were the easy beats, to be fair, but the 6 from 6, we had to really work for it. And I love the fact that we actually answered every single question that got thrown at us during this group stage, because we faced some difficult moments. We faced some, difficult oppositions with, good managers. And I just felt that we responded so well in every single moment that we had throughout this Champions League campaign.
Well, just to go over the results once again, it was a close one, 3-2 against AC Milan at the at Anfield in our opening match. Then we, took Porto to shreds once again, 5-1. I think we're responsible for like 20% of the goals they've conceded. I don't know, in the last 10 years or something, whatever the hell, that's a stupid result. Away to Atletico Madrid, 3-2 again, needed to come back in that one. 2-0 on the return leg, Atletico Madrid picking up red cards in either game there. 2-0 against Porto at home, and a 2-1 win away at the San Siro against AC Milan. So, like I said, all former Champions League winners, and you can understand the competitiveness that maybe pundits and other people would have probably tried to spin on this. But when you look at it honestly, like a team like AC Milan coming first in Serie A, when you have Juventus that are struggling, Napoli are there or thereabouts. You've also got Roma with Mourinho, Lazio a touch and go as well. Like you said, Pete, the Serie A is not the tournament and the competition that it once used to be, and a lot of people still holding on to that. But you can just see we play an Italian team, and there's no way that they can stop us. We play a Portuguese team, and we're just toying with them for fun. We play a gritty, almost shithousery Spanish team like Atletico Madrid. And Steve Nicola on ESPN FC, I caught a glimpse of it. He said, "I hate watching them play. I hate the way they play," but he understands. Obviously, that's the style that Simeone wants to play. But, I mean, in saying all that, I think we just to quickly move on this now, the EPL, it is better than Serie A at the moment, surely. And I think I misspelled Serie A. I think it's meant to be like an E at the end or something.
There's an E in there somewhere.
Let me fix.
Shows you how important it is. You can't remember how it's spelled.
There you go.
It's not even a debate. It's not a debate, Nick. It's not a debate for... for me, it's not even a debate in any league in the world. I mean, that's why all the best players are all in the English Premier League. That's why the best managers are all in the English Premier League. And yeah, you could say it's money, but it's also for competition, because you look at it for the past few years. Yeah, okay, Real Madrid and that they're the big money spenders across the world and that, but Champions Leagues, semi-finals, finals, there's always an English team somehow involved in there. It's you look at the English Premier League, it's so close all the time. It's every week someone from the Premier League can beat anybody in the Premier League, as we've seen already. I don't know, for me, the Premier League prepares teams the best for these sort of competitions, because it is the most difficult competition to play in the world.
James, what is it for you? What does this tell us about this Liverpool team and also the English leagues? Because let's not forget also Chelsea have qualified, Man City have qualified as well, and I think they are a force to be reckoned with this season. The English teams are not coming to muck around. They're really coming at it, and obviously we're not going to give too much praise to our rivals, but at the end of the day, if it is going to end up being an English team versus an English team again in the quarterfinals or the semi-finals like we've seen in the past already, and if an English team does make a grand final again of a Champions League, surely there's no debate. I think it might be... I'm thinking it could be like a PSG versus an English team in the final. Who that is, I'm not sure, but I'm probably calling that now. And what does that tell you about the English leagues then when you're playing against teams from, competitive leagues? We are just a level above.
I think when they make the Champions League draws, I think every team across Europe is hoping for the most part they're not going to get an English team, because it's almost like, it's almost a guarantee that 6 points in that competition that we're not going to get. I mean, you look at the performance of the most English teams in the Champions League, and then like you've mentioned before, you look at the EPL, and you've got the three guns at the moment in Liverpool, Man City, and Chelsea, who are all neck and neck, and you can see that going right to the wire. But Pete said it perfectly. Whilst those three teams are miles ahead at the moment, and they are the juggernauts of the league, and currently, I guess, the juggernauts of Europe in terms of quality and stature. The reality is, there's a fourth Champions League position that at least 3, 4, 5, 6 other teams in the English league think that's mine. I can take that. And that just shows you the quality of competition that we have on offer. That's what attracts more quality players. That's what attracts those quality managers. And, there was a period of time where the Bundesliga looked like it was one of the best in the world, or was the best in the world. It looked like for a long time as well that the La Liga was the best competition in the world. But you look at those leagues, and it's maybe 2 at best 3 teams that are always the same teams that are qualifying or that are finishing top. I mean, you look at the Bundesliga for the last 7, 8, 9 years, whatever it's been Bayern Munich. It's the same team. You look at Ligue in France, and it's not really worth mentioning, but it's the same team almost all the time, apart from last season for the first time, and God knows how long. You look at La Liga, it's the same 3 teams that are always up there challenging. It's always one of them that's winning it. You look at the Premier League, we've obviously had Leicester that won it a few years ago, but the competition has always been rife, and it's always been down to the wire apart from 1 or 2 years. You do not know what you're going to get each week when you're watching the Premier League. There's so much that you can expect, and there's so much that you'll never expect coming as well. That's what makes it such a high quality competition compared to those that are out there.
Well, in saying that, in terms of competition, obviously, we have 11 players on the pitch when it comes to the competition, and we did have players on the pitch in this one here. Let's go through the 11 and we'll go back to this banner here. But oddly enough, we started with Mane and Salah up front. I don't actually know why. I thought he would have rested every single player and given AC a chance, but there you go. Even with pretty much 3/4 of this team changed, it still makes no difference. Liverpool are going to come and win any which way. But we started with Mane, Salah, and Origi starting up front. Got himself a nice little goal there. Minamino in the midfield. I thought he was pretty decent. He had good flashes. I watched that second half properly. The first half I was listening to the commentary whilst driving to work, but watching him doing little runs and darts and beating players from deep. I think, Pete, you've mentioned that before, haven't you? Like where he plays in sort of like a central role, or not central, but like at least falling back, receiving the ball, and then running forward. I think, am I correct in saying that?
I've always said with Minamino, his best position at the club is a position we don't play. So for me, his best position is like that free roaming 10 behind a front 3. We don't really play with one. We play with a holding midfielder and 2 other side. And I thought he was good. I actually thought he was good. I give him, a solid 7 out of 10 for his performance. I think the corner situation he could have done better with. Bar than one deflection before, it kind of maybe put him off. And at the same time, in saying that, I think Tomori should not have been as free between 4 players, just watching him run through. So you could point the fingers here and there, but either way, it was a collective mistake for the corner. I mean, straight away we saw people try and point the finger, Minamino this, Minamino that. But in the day, Tomori should not have been free. But I think Minamino's overall performance was good. I think he was industrial, to say the least. He covered ground well. He did well in defensive duties. He did well at getting back, tracking back. He did well at pressing at the right times. I felt he did really well at keeping the ball moving, keeping the ball alive, keeping it active. I wish he gave us a little bit more creativity and a bit more freedom going forward, but maybe that was his instructions before the game, being that left-sided midfielder out of the 2 and allowing Oxlade-Chamberlain to be, the dynamic kind of one that gets forward. So you ask me how was his performance, I would sit here and tell you he filled that role in that system very well for this game, considering, the situation.
And speaking of Chamberlain, James, we'll go to you. This one, he looks like he's getting to form now. You can see he's playing consistently, whether he's starting or coming off the bench. At least he's getting at least a whole match or 30-odd minutes here and there. He's not like coming on for like 5 minutes to waste time. You know what I mean? He's actually coming on and doing things. And you can see him actually coming to some sort of form there. And you just seen him, he's doing a little 1-2 passing. He's trying to beat a defender. He's making things happen. It's nice to see him actually getting to a bit of a rhythm, because we have always said Chamberlain is a bit of a confidence player. He does need to have something going for him so he can, that self-belief, that mentality block that he's probably got. And he had a decent game, I thought, as well. Covered a lot of ground, played 90 minutes, and I think it's safe to say he is coming into some form when we are really going to need to start rotating this squad.
Yeah, big time. It was great to see him complete 90 minutes, and it was great to see him complete a good performance. Playing in that right-hand side of midfield, it was really good to have him as that more advanced player. those features of his game that we always talk about and really want to see, those 20, 30-yard bursts at defence, running at players, getting that ball, transitioning and going forward. Exactly what he brought to the game this morning or last night. And it's those moments where he's in tight spaces and he's taking 1-2 touches and manoeuvring himself and getting out of trouble, which is absolutely fantastic. And he was creating a lot of attacking situations which we want to see from Oxlade-Chamberlain. Obviously got the shot on goal, which got the keeper's save, which was put nicely into the path of Mo Salah to get his 7th goal of the Champions League competition so far. But look, from Oxlade-Chamberlain, I think another thing that I was really impressed with is you probably look at that midfield and he is your experienced player, which is probably not something that we say too often about Oxlade-Chamberlain when we look at a midfield three. We usually look at him partnered alongside at least maybe one other, thinking of maybe Henderson, or you're maybe thinking Thiago, or you're maybe thinking Fabinho alongside them as well, who's working alongside. But really, he's sort of taken charge of that midfield troop. And working alongside Tyler Morton, who again I think had another fantastic game, and a young boy with bags of confidence and makes it look so easy. So hats off to Oxlade-Chamberlain. He's producing exactly what we want to see from him at this time of year. So really good thing to see on an individual level.
And speaking of Tyler Morton, lucky again with the comments. What a player Tyler Busquets Morton is. He was very tidy, and I had Steve probably won't like this comparison because he gets thrown around a lot, but the commentary on the Stan Sports coverage, you might have caught it, Pete, if you're watching the game and listening closely. One of the commentators, I don't know if it was main or color commentator, but said something along the lines of he reminds me of a young Steven Gerrard.
Oh.
Yeah, see?
Don't do that to us now.
I heard that from the commentary team.
But how can you say that when it's not the style that he was playing?
Nah.
Like, Gerrard never plays as a holding midfielder. He came from a right back into only box to box. It was his progression because he had the legs to carry forward. If you had to compare Tyler Morton's style, Busquets, to be fair, is a good comparison in terms of style, not player. Like, relax before people have a heart attack. The other one I was going to say is also a Jabi Alonso, where he does like to just find his little area where he likes to receive the ball and distribute, finds his own place, and gets comfortable with receiving the ball and trying to play forward. The Gerrard comparison for me was what? Because he came from the academy. Like, does that mean that everybody now, whoever comes from the academy, is a Gerrard fucking next Gerrard? Like,
I don't think so. I think it was his movement and desire to get on the ball, like the fact that he was willing to receive the ball and do something. Sometimes players come in and it's like, just give me the ball, let me have a few touches and I'll pass it off. He looked like he wanted to actually do something on the pitch, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but so did Ken Gordon when he played. Is he the next Gerrard? Right wing?
Yeah.
So it's something that you got to call it for what it is. And for me, I think a Jabi Alonso is a fair kind of style comparison, similar to Busquets, as like he said earlier. A midfielder who likes to control tempo from deep. So I think that's the best way to look at Tyler Morton so far. And I think, not to discredit the kid, I think he was fucking phenomenal. I thought he was excellent during the game. He didn't even look out of place. He didn't look bothered that he's in the San Siro of all places. He's got ice in his veins, that kid, and I can't wait to see him develop under Klopp and Linda's at his club, because if it means it saves us from spending $40 million on a holding midfielder, then how good is that? What a player. So credit to the kid, and long may it continue, to be honest.
Before I move on to the next comment, Rahul, shout out to Rahul, tuning in once again. He says, top management by Klopp last few years, we've struggled with many changes, but it shows as players are growing in this squad, it improves our overall depth. Congrats on making history. And just quickly again, he says, Tyler Morton played similar to Dimitrio Albertini, if anyone remembers Albertini from the 90s and the 2000s. That's a throwback and a half. That's a big throwback, Albertini.
Yeah.
Showing his age there.
Yeah.
Massively.
You have to get out the Panini stickers for that one.
Mate. Yeah, let's do it. But now I'm going to move on to the defense here, because they played a big part in this. And Rizla Larex shout out to you guys. Kanate physically dismantled the entire of AC Milan. Neko, who showed great desire, technical ability off both feet, and Simikas for the 2 nutmegs. Got to go to work laters, so shout out to you, good sir. But let's just move on to that now. The defensive
he just mentioned a player that I was ready to jump on and talk about, to be honest.
Mate, feel free, mate, go for it. I know who you're ready to go for.
No, it's not who you think. It's actually Kanate.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say because
I
he
thought you
had
were
a
talking
top
about
game.
Tsitsipas
No,
because
he had a he had a top game. He was actually man of the match for a few punditry accounts and publications and things like that because he had a very solid game.
hey, it's very hard to body Zlatan Ibrahimovic every time he gets the ball. It's very hard to keep him quiet for 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Kanate absolutely bullied the shit of that self-obsessed wanker for 90 minutes. And it was beautiful because how many times he just threw him around and Zlatan was complaining about the physicality. For
Bro,
me,
Zlatan
Kanate,
of all people.
yeah, Zlatan, look, Kanate for me gets me excited to know that there is a Van Dijk 2.0, hopefully within our ranks. And he's so young, so physically dominant, so quick. I just think once we get him more comfortable in possession, once we get him a bit more comfortable where he has to control the line, higher line, because I feel like that makes him nervous. That's why he's out of position a few times. But once he's comfortable with this system and the way we want to do it, man, what a player we have on our hands here.
Yeah, and also with Kanate, man, 7 clearances, 3 interceptions, 2 tackles. He did lose possession a few times, but overall, apart from that, it was pretty solid. I mean, when you're going against Zlatan Ibrahimovic, you always got to be on your game. And also his partner in crime for this one, Nathaniel Phillips, who looked the goods. And again, Nathaniel Phillips, mate, this guy hasn't played maybe one game this season so far, comes in and it's just like, yeah, mate, that ball could be made of concrete and he's heading that bloody thing. So again, him 4 clearances, blocked a shot, interception, put a tackle in there as well. Solid performance from our defensive ranks there, and it was nice to see the boys do what they do, and even Gomez coming on as well at one point. So nice to see Joe Gomez come back into the squad and get some legs into him. Minutes
Jimmy,
into his legs, I should say.
Jimmy, did you want to talk about Nat Phillips's just fucking Cruyff turn or whatever it was in the middle of the box? Can you describe it to us, please?
I was just going to say to do the Cruyff turn in the San Siro when you've played maybe 30 minutes all season so far and take out Ibrahimovic and Kessie with one movement, that is balls of steel right there. I have to be honest, coming into this game when I saw the lineup and thinking Kanate alongside Nat Phillips at centre back, not a bad combination. Kanate's also played a few games and has proved himself, and we know we all know Nat Phillips, right? He's not anything fancy. He just is like, you just give me one job and I'm just going to do that job. Look, I have to say he's come in, he's done a fantastic job. The pair of them worked alongside each other really well. I thought they were actually a really good combination. We've spoken many times, not this season, but in seasons gone by, about the lack of depth at centre back, and you sort of start off with like your Ferrari options, and then you end up with like a beaten up old Volvo as your backup kind of thing. But you look at the options that we have now. That what a place to be in, to be able to bring in someone like Nat Phillips for one game to then go out and absolutely rinse. That's it right there. Just simple drag. That's it. 2 players gone. Sent them to the shops, pick up some milk, bring it back. Just see you later.
I just noticed that.
Nat Phillips after the game, he got asked about it, and he had this attitude to be like, does the postman celebrate when he delivers the post? Nah, I'm just doing the job. I don't care.
That's a Balotelli line. That's a Balotelli. Yeah. You don't celebrate when you score goals. Does the postman celebrate when he delivers mail? It's a classic Balotelli line, that one there. But yeah, what a great move. And yeah,
Jimmy,
like I said, the balls.
Tell me what you think, Nick, and Jimmy, anyone. But tell me what you think. Do you think that Nat Phillips and Kanate looks better than Kanate and Matip?
Ooh.
It's funny you say that, because when we saw Kanate and Matip together, they looked fine, but I just find that they're 2 very similar centre backs, and that sometimes when you're too similar, it probably butts against each other too much. Whereas Nat Phillips he's a very basic, classic English centre back, and that's not a bad thing to have when you need it. Whereas Kanate, he's 6'15" or whatever he is. He's unbelievable. He's built like a brick shithouse, and the way he plays is obviously it's quite different to the way Nat Phillips plays. I think the way they played together was actually quite complementary of each other. I mean, you look at the way that Kanate completely shut out Ibrahimovic for the entire match. Nat
Perfect
Phillips
timing.
was just nice and tidy. Exactly that. Had him in his pocket. What have you got, mate? Oh, I've got my keys, I got my wallet, got my phone, and I got Zlatan. Let me just leave it on the dresser. I thought they worked really well together. I think actually they worked very well indeed.
Oh, it was brilliant to see. Pete, that defensive line, okay, still you're playing against an Ibrahimovic, Tonali. I think we referenced Tonali being similar to like a pillow mold, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, Brahim
in our
Diaz
first
was
game.
there as well. Brahim
Diaz,
Diaz.
yep. Kessie as well in the midfield. So it's not like you're playing against chumps. You're still playing against quality players. But again, I was surprised Nat Phillips started. I actually thought Gomez would actually get the start here, but it was Nat Phillips. But let's talk about the left and right backs. We had Tsimikas starting at left back, Robbo getting a bit of a rest. Tsimikas had a solid game as well. And Nico Williams, which comes to this question here from Rahul, says, do you think Nico can step in for Trent when he is unavailable? Is Nico at that level now where we can comfortably say, well, Trent is out, no worries, Nico can slot in the same way we say, well, Robertson's out, Nico can slot in place. Pete, what do you reckon?
Look, his last performances, to be fair, you could kind of say yes. There were bits and pieces last season where you kind of go, "Whoa, he's a bit off the pace." But whether it's his calls up to Wales to play internationally, and maybe he's matured, maybe he's grown, maybe he's a bit more confident in his own ability now because he is getting international call-ups. I think this game against AC Milan, he was probably one of the best players on the pitch. I think his last couple of games for us have been positive as well. I think if this is his now trajectory to just keep going up and up and up, I would rather see Neco Williams at right back than Joe Gomez. I would rather see Neco Williams at right back than James Milner. So, yeah, I'm going to say yes for now because I think at the moment we're seeing some positive signs from what he's shown, and why not?
Yeah,
I think that's a fair statement. I mean, James, we're going to go to you because you're our Andy Robertson correspondent. When Robbo was first out, when we bought Tsimikas, and let's remember, Nico came from the academy as a young kid. We didn't buy him, or effectively didn't buy him from another club and brought him over. So he's come through the ranks, and to see a player like that come through, a la Trent Alexander-Arnold, obviously he's not at his level, but he does seem like a capable player to come in. But we can maybe play both Tsimikas and Robertson, maybe one on one wing or the other. Do you think that's a possibility at worst case? But you're playing with two left-footed players, though.
I mean, if you had no option, then I think we could do it and we could make it work. But I think it would be a bit of a trial by fire kind of thing. I think with Nico Williams, he's definitely improved his game. That's the number one thing. A lot of his issues was trying to match the pace, his positioning, knowing what to do going forward, knowing how to track back and when he needed to get back quick enough. A lot of these things he's quite clearly worked on and he's improved. And he's now a capable backup, I think, at this stage. In terms of being a backup to Trent Alexander-Arnold, there's then another level that he has to still meet. He's still got a long way to go to get there. Not to say that he can't. Not to say that he can't. I think just the reality is, you look at what Trent Alexander-Arnold gives us in a 90-minute match, right? You're looking. I mean, there's games we walk away with 1, 2, 3 assists in some instances. You're looking at the quality of the attack that goes forward and his movement and the way that he supports Mohamed Salah on that right wing. Nico's got a long way to go to be able to support with that. And that's such an integral part of our game. So where he was last year, he's come miles ahead of that. He's still got a long way to go. With Tsimikas and Robbo, it's the never-ending debate, right? But Tsimikas is a quality left back or a left wing back, and that's where we need him. That's where we need to be playing him because that's where we're going to get the best from him. Could we play him on the left on the right hand side? We probably could, but it wouldn't be my first choice. I'd be keeping him on the left where he's at his best.
Yeah, makes sense. And speaking of Tsimikas, Konstantinos Tsimikas had a solid game, Pete, you have to say. Didn't look like he had any dramas, put in a few tackles, got in a few interceptions. His crossing wasn't the best in this game, let's be real here. Maybe put Robertson's boots on, who the hell knows. But still, I mean, he got himself a whole match, and he's looking sharp, he's looking fit, and he looks like he's with it. If that makes sense.
Well, the record still stands. We haven't lost when he plays.
100%.
That's true.
So it's look. I think one thing that has been massive improvement with Tsimikas is that his defensive responsibilities have improved. I feel like he tracks back, and it's almost every time he tracks back, he's blocked the right pass, he's covered the right angle, he's forced the attacker the right way, he's shown them the line, he's forcing onto the uncomfortable feet at the attacker's uncomfortable side. He's getting so much better at that compared to when he first started playing in our squad. He's still silky going forward. We saw him nutmeg 3 or 4 players. We saw him get his 1-2s. We saw, his ability to go forward is without question. Like that part was never the question. The parts were always, but defensively, whatever bullcrap people decided to make up. But that defensive side now is starting to get better. So he's improving his defensive side. His attacking side is as strong as ever. It's okay, like we've said a million times, it's the best headache to have because, he can be our Champions League left back. Okay, that's fine. And Robbo can be our Premier League left back. And there's no drop in quality. Like, it's one of them ones, you know what I mean? So Tsimikas can be our cup left back. And Champions League, he plays FA Cups, whatever. And we've got Robbo, who has to play in the Premier League because every week it's tough as nails, similar to what Robbo is. So, I mean, if this is the situation, how lucky are we?
It's a good headache to have. Managers love these headaches and hate them at the same time. And Remy says, what do we feel about Neco Williams' performance? Once we finish the stream, go back about 5 minutes from when this is on, and we literally just covered it. So don't want to repeat it again and go over ourselves twice. So, check the stream back again at around about 25 odd minutes. And we'll get it. Jericho up the Villa. Pete, how do you feel about that?
How did they go in the Champions League this morning? I must have missed that one.
Mate, been missing it for decades. It's true. We won't talk about that just yet. We'll give Pete his Mr. Jekyll and Dr. Hyde moment later on before we head off. But just quickly, we have to mention this. Mo Salah, he's got 20 goals, and it's only December. This is the 5th season in a row a Liverpool player has scored 20-plus goals since Rush in the late 80s, I believe. Yeah, that is insane. 21 appearances, 20 goals, 9 assists.
Yeah, absolutely phenomenal. And we've been harping on about this boy now for all season, essentially, because since we started the season, he's just been consistent. He's been absolutely fantastic. Only the 7th best player in the world, according to football journalists, which I still think is a huge question mark on that one. But you just cannot deny the absolute quality that this guy brings. Even when he has got 3-4 players man-marking him for 90 minutes, you just give him that one opportunity and he turns the game on its head, just like he did against Wolves. He's in the right place at the right time, as he proved this morning. This man is an absolute machine. And the best part is we're coming into that winter period where Snow Salah comes out, the yellow ball's out, and he just thrives on that stuff. So we are truly so lucky to be in the position that we are, being able to see a player like this. And as he said the other day, he's ready to stay in Liverpool. We're just waiting on upper management to make their decision, or to wait until the end of January, as Pete told us a few weeks ago, and say, oh yeah, okay, we're not signing anyone. But guess what? We got Mo Salah on a big, nice, juicy contract, and that's that. So
that's come out in the last few days, actually, the whole Salah contract thing. So that'll be interesting. And obviously, Cup of Nations and all those sorts of things. African Cup of Nations coming up as well. Still don't know what's happening there, but Salah has said that he does desire to sign a new contract. He wants to stay at Liverpool, but he says it's up to the management, and I don't know why the hell management would say no. See you later.
Look, let's not get to this rabbit hole. I think it's done. It's absolutely done.
Yeah,
and
it's done.
If you, what we should tell Salah is that, listen, don't go to the AFCON, and we'll add an extra 100,000. And so we're going to lose him.
Just quickly, Ian McPhee, thank you for joining us. Ian says, enjoy watching Jurgen's teams, hoping for 7 times, but the journey is wonderful. Well, you never know. He very well may just be. And
If we keep this up,
yeah, Jericho,
Yeah.
Mo should hit 50. That's Messi levels. That's what that is. 50 goals is Messi level stuff. And mate, you're talking about a play in contention for for player of the year or whatever. Like Salah's up there again. And Rahul makes a good point. Says the finish by Salah was unreal. Made it look so easy. Then you go back to the miss he had against Brentford. Made history too, scoring the most goals in the group stages. Pete, do you want to relive the traumatization from that Brentford match when instead of side footing it, he went to chip the keeper and went over onto the roof of the net?
Well, actually, I actually like you because you're quite positive in our shows, and you're always watching our shows. But we don't need this from you at the moment. We don't.
You're killing
we're
us,
trying
mate.
to forget. We're trying to forget the Brentford match and the weird substitution for the Curtis Jones and all that kind of stuff. We need to forget that. We need to move on. But look, the Salah, the goal, he's right though. As that bounces back, it's hard to control the ball bouncing to, because the way I saw it, he saw a keeper on the ground and he wanted to lift it. That wasn't like a miss hit and it's gone up and lucky it's gone in. I think that he's aimed for the roof of the net purely because whilst the keeper's down, by the time he gets back up to make a second save, it's too high for him from getting up on the ground. So I think Salah has absolutely controlled the shit out of that finish and meant exactly the placement and meant everything he did for that goal he meant.
James, I want to ask you now. Divock Origi, he's 2 from 2. What do we say? Is he coming into form or what?
Sorry, everything that I said about Mo Salah, just move that forward to this conversation because we're now talking about the real king. This guy is Mr. Casual, turns up, doesn't realise that there's a game on, and they're like, oh, we're going to start you at the San Siro. And he's like, have you got my kit? All right, no worries. Can you tie my laces for me? Because I don't actually know how to do that. This boy's clueless. He hasn't got any idea what's going on, but nah, all jokes aside, he actually looked really, really good today. I thought he was fantastic, starting in that central position alongside Salah and Mane. So, again, we've spoken about this many times. We need Divock Origi to not just be that super sub that comes on, scores a winning goal, and then disappears into the abyss for 6, 7, 8 weeks. We need him to actually be that person we can rely on. We can start to see him doing things. I thought he was fantastic. I thought his positioning was really good. I thought it's hard because you're always looking to compare him against the best that you've got, and that's obviously Bobby Firmino, and there's no one like Bobby Firmino. But at the same time, you still need someone to be in there and do the work when you don't have your Firminos. And I thought he'd done a good job. I thought he held the ball well. He had really good movement, really quick with his feet, and in the right place at the right time. It's actually quite funny when you think about all the goals. They're all the exact same. The goalkeeper saved it, parried it, and then the person's been in the right place at the right time to put the ball in the back of the net. Defensive error by Milan, and Sadio Mane's just seized onto it. Keeper's parried it, and Divock Origi's managed to put it into the right place in the net to give us the 3 points.
It was such an Origi goal, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
It
was.
Goal.
Yeah.
The keeper's punched the ball into his head and it's gone in.
But he's got to be there to get the ball punched into his face. So it's to me, we're starting to see what we need from Divock Origi. There's not, like I say, we always get those 90-minute winners and all that stuff, but we're now getting what we need from Origi at the right time. So long may that be consistent for the rest of the season, because we are going to need it when those games become 2-3 games a week and international competitions, which shall not be named for the rest of the show, start happening. So great to see. Looking forward to what the next few weeks hold for a man like Divock. Shout
out to Jericho. Origi is a world-class backup. The last 2 games he definitely has been, I have to say there.
Big time.
Rahul, once again, let's enjoy Origi now. It's all down to him. There are opportunities for the lad to have more minutes, but he needs to keep this momentum. Yeah, it very much is a momentum thing. You say players need to be on form, and at the moment, players, speaking of form, Mane seems to be completely off of it at the moment. I think someone mentioned it in the in the group chat this morning during the game about Mane. When it's a nothing game or something, he sort of like disappears, or he becomes like this frustrated figure. Did I read that wrong? Probably half asleep, Pete.
No, you're right. It was the comment was, when it's a nothing game, Mane becomes frustrating because he he tries to do stuff that he would normally do. But look, for me, Mane, look, maybe a little bit off this game, maybe a bit off against Wolves, but prior to that, he was still, electric and dangerous and a nuisance, which is what his best attribute is, actually just being a nuisance.
Yeah.
So I think that he's allowed a couple of off games as long as he backs it up. This weekend we've got a tough game. It's going to be an emotional game for anyone who's 30 years old and up. It's going to be one of those ones. It's going to be, and we're going to need Mane because if Salah's the best there is, Mane is in the top 5 in terms of his position. So he gets frustrating. He does some stupid things, and you kind of go, why? But at the same time, when he's on, he's on. It's one of the ones.
Yeah, 100%.
Gentlemen, I'll ask you this real quick question here. Don't need to go on it for too long. Got a few other things to move on to. But this squad, is it prime for the UCL, the Premier League, or both? James, you first.
Barring any injuries, yeah, we're on track for all of it. That's genuinely what it comes down to. You look at that side that we played this morning, or that we started with. All those changes, those names that you probably wouldn't put most of them into your best 11, not being disrespectful or anything like that, just looking at the quality of squad that we have. And they can still do a fantastic job. And if we have them ready to step up when we need them, then great, happy days. But it's the squad at the moment is primed. It all comes down to staying injury free. That is going to be the key for the rest of our season. Simple as that.
Peter, your thoughts on this squad?
I think it depends on how far we go domestically in terms of domestic cups as well, because we've got, what do we get? Shrewsbury Town for the FA Cup? Is that our next match?
Yeah.
So that's obviously going to be a mixture of some of the squad this morning plus our younger up-and-coming players, which is, again, positive. And longer we stay in the competition, the more likes of, your Neco Williams does improve, Tyler Morton does improve. Kanate gets good minutes. Nat Phillips gets to play. Tsimikas gets to play. So it's good. Minamino. So it's good for to go along in these cups. And I think we've got Leicester. Leicester's our next game, isn't it?
In the quarters of the Carabao Cup, League Cup, we've got them.
Yeah. So there's that one as well. So and I still would play similar to the squad this morning, bar maybe Salah, Mane rest one of them, and one of them can play. Maybe just swap whatever it is, but. Are we primed for Premier League or both? Or, I don't know. I think I put Champions League probably closer to winning the Champions League than the Premier League. I don't mean that. I know it sounds negative, but I feel like we're closer to winning the Champions League than we are the Premier League this year.
Yeah, probably better suited. And Jericho also says he goes UCL only. So
thought you were a top red, mate.
Top red. All right. Before I go to this one here, we did mention on the Monday night show, we're reviewing the Wolves results, previewing this Champions League match. We didn't want Atletico Madrid to win, but lo and behold, they ended up winning. Snuck 3 in. Somehow it was a topsy-turvy match. James, you said you saw the red cards. Is that correct?
Yeah, it just looks like it was just one of those shithouse games that you expect from Atletico Madrid. Just turned into an absolute shit fight. Referee lost control from what I could see by the looks of it, and Atletico do what they do best. And unfortunately for Porto, it's them that's going to the Europa League. Still better to be in some sort of European competition than nothing, I guess. But just your classic Atletico Madrid performance right there. Bitterly disappointing because I was very hopeful that that they weren't going to get through, but unfortunately they've done what they do best, and nothing worse than that. But always puts a bit of a sour note on a lovely win like we had this morning.
Pete, I just want to read your comment here. I'm just reading off whoscored.com. Sometimes the community ends up putting their comments in there, and someone replied. Someone replied saying, "This was the most pathetic qualification to the round of 16 in the history of the Champions League." And then someone else has replied back, "I always enjoy a non-Barca Real team winning La Liga, but the antics of Atleti in this game were just so disgraceful. That said, most teams in the last 16 could dispatch them without much trouble so long as they don't give Atleti the opportunity to flop around." Is that fair?
I have never grown to hate a team so quickly in my life. Like like normally when you hate a team, like you've hated them for years, and it's like, yeah, I hate them forever. Like Manchester United, for example. Atletico Madrid for me over the past oof, let's say 3 years, I've grown to hate them just more and more and more and more. And it's because of that stuff. They spend the game trying to influence the referee and trying to get the referee rattled so they can get away with bits and pieces to gain tiny of the inches like of a free kick or whatever it is. Like just try and play. Like the amount of shit that they have to do, it's tiring. It's exhausting watching them play because they're trying to do all the unnecessary stuff in between. And you just want to watch a game of football, yet they make it so exhausting to watch. It's frustrating.
Yeah, James, I mean, we've experienced it a few times already. We saw it last season, or the season before, rather, in that 3-1 loss before the shitstorm happened all around the world. And we saw it going away there. We saw it at Anfield again. It just seems to be a reoccurring theme, but I can't remember them ever being like this. It's almost like since Simeone took over in the last couple of years, more so in the last couple of years, that it's really become so noticeable that everyone around the world is looking at them and saying, like, these guys are useless as hell. They've got some quality players, but instead of playing to strength, they'd rather shithouse and flop around all over the place. Like Pete said, influence the referees and try and jag results there by throwing the opposition off their game instead of playing football. Where did this Atletico Madrid team come from?
I think it's been something that's been slowly brewing and festering over the last few years, and we've just now got to the point where they've brought in obviously players like Luis Suarez, who we obviously love Luis Suarez when he's in a Liverpool shirt, but we know for a fact he's a complete shithead on the pitch. It's just the reality of it, and I think what's happened is they've now just found that they've got this ability to gain advantages by frustrating, by winding up the opposition. And the problem is that the reason why they do so well is because the opposition react. It's because they actually buy into it. They get frustrated. You look at the games we had against Atletico Madrid this season compared to the games we had a couple of years ago. All right. When they would do their shithousery, we would react. As players, we would get frustrated. As fans, we would get frustrated, everything like that. You look at now and the way that the players react when they do the bullshit that they do on the pitch. Our players just, whatever, right? We're getting on with our own game. We're not actually getting sucked into that. We're not getting involved in that. And they ended up suffering for themselves. Remember Griezmann getting sent off for the high boot, and then they had all the other stuff that was going on as well. They got another player sent off in the return leg as well. So they ended up undoing themselves because Liverpool were like, well, we're focusing on our own game. We're playing our way. And we walked away with the 6 points over the 2 games. But it just seems that despite having this quality squad, because they do. You look at their roster and you think there's some fantastic players in that, but the problem is they've just slowly transcended into this way of playing where it's very negative, where it's exactly as you've got there, shithousery, and they've got the players who thrive on that as well, especially when you look at Luis Suarez and some of those midfield players who just do some absolute dog stuff. And look, they managed to get through by doing it. Real poor, real disappointing, but that's where it's at. Getting through on 7 points and losing half their games in the qualifying group stage. Sorry, it's just says it all for me.
It's amazing how quickly something like that can change your perception from a team like Atletico Madrid in the late 2000s, early 2010s, when they had your Torres, your Forlans and Agueros and all these other players, and then someone like Simeone comes along and just absolutely changes them altogether. But gentlemen, I want to ask you this now. If anyone's a wrestling fan, WCW, WWE, this should be of no trouble for you to guess this reference here. Who's next? Current streak is 6-0-0. So, gentlemen, depending on how the round of 16 is drawn, we are going to be in seeds. So, it is ourselves thus far being Ajax, Bayern Munich, Manchester City, Manchester United, and Real Madrid, even though I think United still have to play a game in the morning, and barring any freak result, they might go.
But we can't face anybody from that group any.
Yeah. I was thinking like they might get on goal difference. I'm not sure, but the runners up so far, we've got Atletico Madrid, Inter, PSG, Sporting, CP. And group position to be confirmed, Chelsea and Juventus, and more to be confirmed. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. The first leg would be 15th and 16th, or 22nd, 23rd of Feb, and the second legs would be the 8th, the 9th, and 15th of 16th of March. So well after the cup in Africa is done and dusted. But in saying that, who do we want to be facing in this round of 16, boys?
Juventus.
That's a good call, actually. That's a good call. I was just looking at the way it can go with the teams in the morning, and there's every chance a team like Sevilla could obviously get into the next round as well, and that brings back some memories. That'd be quite interesting to play them again. I think that'd be a fantastic match. But I got to be honest, we're coming into the round of 16. For me, it's about getting to those quarterfinals, because that's when you really start to face the quality, the best of the best. And it's at that time of the season where you start to prove how good your team really is. Can they really last that sort of length of time as a top quality side? I think we can, and I think we can. You're looking at the list of teams that you can potentially face. I think any of them would be absolutely fantastic to face. But yeah, I think Juventus would be an interesting one. I think obviously we can then talk about the lack of quality that is the Serie A. But I would love to. I think just one of those teams that we also came up quite often against back in our Europa League days. But Sevilla would be an interesting one to see if they can qualify.
Just quickly, Ian McPhee once again, not worried about anyone, to be honest. No one wants Liverpool. That's what we said at the start of the pod, I'm pretty sure. I said no one will want to face us. This one here gave me a bit of a laugh. Antio chill. Villarreal for some good evening football.
Good evening.
Yeah, look, I love a Sporting as well. A Sporting would be great.
Yeah.
Sporting CP, thanks, Guido.
But I'd love a Juventus would be nice, to be honest with you. I mean, I can see us getting PSG. I don't know why I could see us getting PSG, but I'd love Juventus, to be honest. I think it's a good time to play Juventus, to be honest.
Raul says avoiding established sides like Juve, Inter, PSG, maybe lesser known sides like Sporting, Benfica, or anyone from Group G. That's interesting.
Yeah, I was just looking at Group G as because it's anyone can still qualify. That's the interesting. So you got French champions Lille on 8 points, Salzburg on 7, Sevilla on 6, and Wolfsburg on 5. So you could be sitting top of that league, and you could. I mean, I'm not sure what the fixtures are, but you could be playing Europa football in the next year. So it's going to be a real interesting one, that group. But yeah, I just looking forward to. Actually, no, Lille pretty much qualified because they're playing Wolfsburg. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see the outcome of that.
So, and also Jericho mentioned he doesn't want Ajax. They're looking up there. So
I can tell you, guaranteed fact, Manchester City will get Barnet FC in the next round for Champions League.
Who?
Barnet.
Barnet.
Get Aldershot or Wrexham or something like that.
I'm thinking, who the hell is his team in the Champions League? Never heard of him before.
I'm sitting going through my phone. I'm like, can't find it.
They get it in. They'll get them in just for City. So they'll get them, and and so they can keep going forward. And because that's what happens for City, to be honest.
Well, thank you for the comments to all the viewers and those paying attention to the show. Really do appreciate it. And if you could be so kind to drop a like and sub if you haven't already. It's not just us. We've got a whole contingent overseas as well in the motherland, being England for football. And they do, 3 or 4 shows a week as well. So there's plenty of content to be watched and listened to. But we've got about 7 or 6 minutes left. Real quick to wrap up the hour. It is time. Peter's going to be torn between 2 teams this weekend. Pete, how are you feeling?
Oh, why? I'm more excited about being near law with 10 minutes to go and Gerrard subbed himself on. That's what
scoring a screamer at the cop end, and then not celebrating.
No, he was celebrating, and in his celebration, he was screaming and saying, "This is for those fucking shit years you put me with a fucking shit team, and I had to carry the club. These shoulders are broken because of this club. I've given my life to you fuckers," and he just unleashes this big, therapy moment. and he's like, "This is for putting me in the midfield with Paulson, you fucking wankers."
Oh,
So
mate.
it's
Paulson
Oh,
and Jay Spearing. Why did you do this to
yeah,
me?
trying to
yeah.
feed balls up to David and Gog.
It's like, I had the same team with Jan Kromkamp. Do you understand? And he's like, so you can understand why, why I can see him celebrating in the 95th minute when he comes on and scores a free kick. So good on him. I'll be celebrating with him because I felt that pain. I was there. We were all there. We felt the same pain that he
Oh,
felt.
mate,
So
we sure did.
it's
We
simple as
sure
that.
did. But look, as it stands in terms of facts in the Premier League, we're undefeated in 24 of our last 25 matches. There have been over 2.5 goals in 9 of Villa's last 11 away games. There have been over 2.5 goals in our last 5 home games, scored mostly by us. And we have scored at least 2 goals in 8 of our last 9 home matches. So in saying that, it's going to be an interesting one. And just looking at the previous fixtures, there was a 2-1 win, that late one in November, if you recall, the Robertson and Mane last-minute header. And there was the 5-0 thumping to our youth team in the FA Cup or whatever that was.
When we were out winning when we were winning the Club World Cup, we sent the kids over
Yep.
the road. Yeah.
Yep. But we returned serve in the Premier League with a 2-0 win at home again. Then there was the abysmal, abnormal thumping of that 7-2 away. But we returned serve again in the FA Cup 4-1 just earlier on in the year, and a 2-1 win in the Premier League in February. So he's pretty even, and a lot of those players that dismantled us in, I say a lot, maybe one of being Grealish no longer there. But in saying that, I mean, look, I don't think it's going to be an easy game. I really don't think it's going to be an easy game. It is going to be very interesting to see how Gerrard approaches this game. Pete, you're the coach of the team here. What do you think he'll be looking at to get his team to do to stop us? Surely he's looked at us and Klopp and seen how we play and how we set up, and if everyone is back playing, that being Alisson, Van Dijk, Matip or Kanate if he starts, or whoever, Robertson, Trent, a midfield of Thiago, Fabinho, maybe Chamberlain perhaps, and then the front three of Jota, Mane and Salah.
Yeah, they were good against Manchester City, to be honest. In the game that they have lost, they were good at trying to close down passing lanes. They were good at condensing space. They were just obviously outclassed by the individuals, and that was what really done the match. They were good against Leicester again. So he's had 4 hard games. He's had 4 hard games, and he's managed to do well in 3 or 4 of them. But obviously he lost 1. But I think what he's going to try and do against us is nullify the spaces out wide and use his pace up front that he's got within his own players to try and get something on the counter-attack. So,
It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I think it'll be a very interesting match. I think it's going to be good. I think because he's got a good coaching staff as well. And Michael Beale, obviously being at Liverpool, coach at Liverpool, obviously with some inside info as well in terms of how Klopp does things and all that kind of stuff. So I definitely think it's going to be interesting. But if we play that 11 that played against, obviously with the Fabinho, Thiago, Henderson midfield with the stock standard front 3 and the strongest back, there's not enough there to well, I'm not going to jinx it, but we should be okay. And if I cut out, it's because I have 6% left in my battery.
We're nearly done, mate. Don't you worry about that. James, interesting one this weekend. Jericho says he'll love Stevie G, but we need to win this one. But he won't be too mad if we don't. I'd be pretty upset because we need to keep pace with City now. We can't afford to slip. Gerard's famous words: "This does not slip." We can't let this slip now. So we really need. I don't want to use that, but come on, we can't let up now. You know what I mean? All right, whatever. We can't let up now.
Why would you do that?
Because I had to. It was set up for me perfectly. We need to capitalize now. We can't afford to be like, Gerrard won at Anfield, so that's a nice little return. No, nice romantic story and sentimental and all that sort of stuff. But mate, football, we need to win this game. And Ian McPhee says Liverpool must win every match. Hope Stevie G does well against everyone else, but not Liverpool. So Pete, I'm going to ask you, who are you barracking for this weekend?
Whoever wins.
I'll take both sides then. All right, Harvey Dent.
There'll be. I think we'll have too much for him.
James, yourself, who are you backing? Obviously.
Oh, who am I backing? Yeah, I'm not sure, mate. I'm hoping for a draw. Nah, yeah, nah. It's I think we do have the quality to beat Gerrard's side, but I think we have to admire the way that Steven Gerrard's got his team playing. I'm quite curious to see what he does at left back. I think it's is it Matty Target? I think's out injured. So they've brought Ashley Young back in. It was a bit of a flashback. So I'm interested to see how he's looking for his left back to work against Mo Salah. So I think that's going to be quite an interesting battle on the pitch. In terms of what Aston Villa can do going forward, they've got a very clever, very good side. I think he's got them very well drilled already. I think he's probably still got a lot of things he's probably wanting to implement. But when you've come into a side at this point of the season, you kind of have to go with the flow for a bit of time and try and make that work. But I think we'll be able to overpower them. I hope the sentimental thing doesn't get to us too much during the 90 minutes. Before the match, they can sing his songs, they can unveil a statue, they can do whatever they want. But during that 90 minutes, we just got to go out and absolutely destroy them, keep the pace going, and set the intention. And then afterwards, we can have a beer with them. I don't care. That's fine.
Well, I think Gerrard came out in the media and said something along the lines of, there's no feelings, it's purely football. Like, Liverpool is, my heart, my home, whatever. But, like, at the end of the day, it's a football match to be won. And Jericho says it's going to be a physical game. Maybe. We'll see what happens. But on average, we score 3 goals a game. They score 1. We have 19 shots a game. They have 11. And we have many more corners. I can't wait for those Robbo near post nothings. I can't wait for them.
Hey. Actually, I've been meaning to say his corners lately have actually been a bit of alright. And
he's been beating the
first man. He just can't beat the second man. That's an improvement.
Someone's got to get ahead to it, man. Virgil's got to get ahead to it. But it's going to be an interesting game. We're playing 2 a.m. Sunday morning for us. So I won't be here for the match debate on Sunday night. Perhaps Monday night if we do it, then we can. Otherwise, whoever is joining in, I'm sure Pete will have a lot to say about the game overall in any case. So, gentlemen, thank you once again for joining myself for the Red Sea podcast. We have been the Red Sea Down Under, the match debate, and thank you very much to everyone who watched and joined in and threw the comments in there, giving us some talking points. Really do appreciate it. And once again, if you enjoy this stuff, give us a like, sub to the channel. There's plenty more content throughout the week, non-stop. We are Liverpool FC, champions of Europe 6 times. Pete's phone died. Perfect. Now I can say whatever the hell I want. Aston Villa down the toilet. I don't care if Gerrard's manager. I don't care. We need to win. There is no let up. I don't care if it's Klopp managing Villa coming back and we have a new manager. We must win. There is no sentimental nothings. So Pete, if you're watching this later on, yeah, I said it.
Fuck you and fuck your Aston Villa bullshit.
Shout out to Jericho. You never walk alone, my friend. And thank you to everyone once again. Jimmy, this has been a great show. Really do appreciate you joining me.
Thank you, sir.
And we'll say our goodbyes. Cue the outro. See yous.